Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hurdle the Line podcast. I am your host, Fletch, and joining me today I have the wonderful Karl DJ. Gents, how are we this evening?
You alright, Governor? All good?
All good, mate.
Enjoy your week 2 matchups?
I had fun. There's lots of football again this weekend. College football on Saturday, NFL on Sunday. So much football, man. How about yourselves?
Good. Yeah. Was obviously watching the Patriots game. Very close game. Overtime and all that, but yeah. It is what it is. I'm not going to ball too much on it.
No. Well, we're going to pick up right where the review team left off, and unfortunately, because they recorded on Monday night, they just about missed Monday Night Football. So we're just going to have let's have a little look back in time. I know we're going to spend most of this time looking forward. Let's have a little look back and talk about Monday Night Football. Did either of you guys watch it, or did you at least get to catch up with it if you didn't watch it?
I caught the condensed the next morning, but I didn't watch. Yeah, I wasn't able to stay up for the game.
Yeah, same. I watched the highlights of that game. I have never seen buffoonery like it when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. What the hell that they were trying to do. The fact I've seen a lot over the weeks that if Saquon Barkley catches that ball, the Eagles go on to win this game.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, there's one way of saying it, but cast your mind back to the first quarter when the Eagles try to go 4th and 3. Take the freaking points. It's the first quarter. You take the field goal in the first quarter, guess what happens? You get towards the end, you're up by 9. Even if the Falcons were to get the touchdown and get a 2-pointer, they're still down by 1. They'll need an onside kick.
Yeah, it's all about being aggressive, though, isn't it? In that scenario, I mean.
Everyone overlies analytics, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a little bit of common sense thinking, okay, first quarter, they've stopped us here. Let's just take 3 points and let's just move on. If this was the 4th quarter and you needed to this touchdown to get a bit ahead, then by all means, I've got no problem with it. But it's the first quarter, man. It's way too early.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling it's setting that tone early. I'm going to come at it. I'm going to come at this from a team who took from their own 20-yard line this weekend. Our punter threw on 4th and 12. I'm coming in it from this, and that was early in the game. So
that was the most ballsiest play of the week. It really was.
Fucking great.
You say that, but as a Lions fan, I sit there a bit like I'm used to it by now. It means it's very little to me. But it's I think sometimes it can feel just set that tone early. I think sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But the one thing I thought was really impressive is when Darnell Mooney got home, and he got changed and all that sort of stuff. Well, when we got back into the locker room, got changed, and the lockup kit guy came up to him and kind of emptied all his pockets. He found it, he got his car keys, got his wallet. And then they found CJ Gardner-Johnson in there as well, which I thought was brilliant. Not sure what they were going to do with him at that point. I think they took him back to the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. But if you're ever looking for CJ Gardner-Johnson right now, he's about 6 yards behind any wide receiver that's near him.
And to make matters worse, he says he's paying tribute to the last 2 games. He's paid tribute to Kobe Bryant. Obviously, Kobe Bryant wore the number 8 when he was back with the Lakers. Yeah, that's not one way of paying tribute to Kobe Bryant by playing awful defense like that.
So,
yeah,
just disrespectful to the man's honor at this point. I'm not going to lie.
Rest in peace, Kobe.
But it was a very close game. Falcons get there in the end. And I think my number one question to you is, after leading a drive like that to pretty much seal the game, I know that Jesse Bates made a massive play, to properly seal it. Is Kirk Cousins finally? I think are we going to start seeing Kirk Cousins step up a little bit more and feel a bit more comfortable in this Falcons offense? Is that a sign, or is it just one of those things where, at the end of the day, he's a veteran quarterback? Sometimes they just know how to step up in those moments.
That final drive by Cousins was the old Cousins that we always used to know when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah,
especially coming back through last year, it did look like he was getting the ball down the field a lot more. You also saw him target Drake London a little bit more than what he did in week 1, which was good to see from anyone who had Drake London in fantasy. Whoever scored that touchdown and won your league, they bet your opponent was absolutely pissed to realise that.
So I could actually speak to that one because I was playing Chapman this weekend in fantasy and he beat me with Drake London using that play. So could speak to that one personally. Congratulations, Chapman.
Yeah.
No, but it did feel like the Falcons were now starting. You've got to give them credit where credit's due. I think you felt that, I mean, they went up against a really good Eagles team in my view. I think they're probably prime target favourites to win that div. So I think they're coming together as a unit, the Falcons now. I think maybe it was just week 1 nerves, Kurt, first game back after the injury. Bijan Robinson, he seems to have done a pretty decent 14 carries for 97 yards. I mean, yeah, I got to give it credit due to the Falcons at the end of the day.
What's happened?
I think they just did that extra.
What I've come to realise over the first 2 weeks of this NFL season, the NFC South is now no longer the worst division in the NFL. It is the most exciting. The Bucs are playing well. The Falcons are now back on track. And DJ, I have to give you your flowers here because you're the only one out of all of us on this bloody podcast that actually said the Saints might actually do well. And I should have seen that coming because I didn't realise this until I was watching the game. Their offensive coordinator is Gary Kubiak's son.
Yes.
They played the West Coast offense. And I'm like, this Saints team, as soon as I saw that, what they'd done to Dallas, I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, we got to pay attention to New Orleans.
I really
now.
wanted to see if this was a challenge or they blew out the Panthers, but we were thinking like, well, is it because it's Panthers? It's Panthers, fair enough.
Yeah,
you got the likes of Cowboys.
Stop saying Panthers; they're the Pandas. We know this.
Pandas, yeah. But then you got the likes of Cowboys, and they really destroyed them, really, basically. So yeah, you kind of have to now take them more serious.
Not just the Cowboys either. Cowboys that looked pretty convincing against the Browns the week before, who everyone's tipped to be, or most people have tipped to be the favourite to go quite far in the playoffs, potentially in the AFC.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. And I think just looking back, last thing I want to talk about as far as Monday night goes, can we all agree that the Eagles did make one crucial mistake? And I feel this more than anyone. I nearly broke my television when this happened, or when I found this information out. But I know you guys can agree with me too. The one crucial mistake that the Eagles made was allowing Matt Patricia into the building.
No, yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Can all agree there.
Even my toddler could tell you that was a bad idea, and he's 3. So
my poor wife, who's fast asleep at 1:30 in the morning, roughly. I'm sat there. I can put it on the TV in the bedroom and just kind of sat there in bed and watched it. And she sat there as I'm kind of going, get the fuck off the television. I've made my feelings clear for the last few years. If there's one man in this whole sport I cannot stand, it is that man. Moving on, because just thinking about it's getting me annoyed. Going on to the rest of the week since then, we have some very interesting matchup coming up in week 3. But before we do that, shall we have a look at some of the news that's happened since Monday night, since the review team got hold of the podcast? And I do believe, DJ, you have a couple of bits for us.
Yeah, we do. So I know the guys on the Monday show, the preview one, the review, they've touched base that Pacheco was placed on the IR. Since then, obviously, there was conversation or there was rumours flying around that Kareem Hunt had been in for talks, and they actually did decide to sign him. I think it was late Tuesday. So Hunt will come in and probably replace Pacheco's workload. Obviously, known in the past that Hunt is probably very familiar on how that organisation works. He's been with them multiple years. the downfall of it is we don't know what condition Hunt's in. I mean, he's been out. I don't think he had a team last year, did he? Or was he on the Browns roster and then got cut?
I think he might have been. Not quite.
Not 100% sure, but I think it's more to see what kind of conditions he's in. But obviously, the Chiefs have done their homework and they're probably more than happy to bring him in. He'll probably divide the reps with who's that other lad they signed? Perrine, is it? One from Washington. P. Ryan, yeah. So yeah, and then.
But they've also got their rookie as well, Carson Steele, as well, that they'll try and utilise as well a little bit.
Yeah.
Then the other bit of news was there's a couple of IR players. So Rams Cooper Kupp, he's now on IR as well. So the Rams potentially got 2 of their wide receiver stars. They're gone for the next 4 games. Well, Nakua 3 and now 4. That, and also they're struggling in regards to guards, tackles, left, right, and centre. They've all been placed on IR. Just counting out here, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 7 or 8 players that have been placed on IR. I'm sure Sam will probably have quite a lot to say about that if he decides to join us in. The other player that was noticeably been flying around news-wise was Tua. He was on. Yes. He was now placed on IR after that hit against the Bills on the Thursday night game. I think it's more for him. I think the excuse or what the terminology they used was they're allowing him more time to kind of go and seek medical advice. Was again he's came out and said that he wasn't willing to retire. So Daniels has obviously said that he's still their quarterback. So we're probably expecting to see him back after 4 weeks. And then the other noticeable piece of news was the Panthers, or so Karl says the Panthers. They've decided to bench Bryce Young. And they're obviously going to move with Andy Dalton moving forward. Views on that? I mean, that's probably got to be a shocker for him, for Young.
It can't be any worse. I think this was the best thing for Bryce Young. He's literally gone into a place where he just doesn't have anything around him. Doesn't have the weapons, hasn't got the structure of the offensive line, doesn't really have the coaching, he hasn't really got the organisation behind him. The fans are on his case. But you can't blame the kid.
I mean, what do you think his future is now? Because from personal seeing it personally, if that was said to me, that would probably dent my morale way too low. Like similar to what we did to kind of Mac Jones in that perspective. But he's a young lad. I don't know. It's just rumours saying that they're going to trade him, but they said no.
They're not going to trade him. I'm going to say this from a business standpoint. You traded quite a lot of assets to get this young man into your building. From a business standpoint, if you turn around after 1 year and say, right, we wash our hands with you, you're done. Like, go. That it's a terrible position to be in. Look, with all due respect to our good friend Ollie, the fact that Deshaun Watson has been okay. Look, they looked okay. They looked quite good at the weekend. But last week, I was thinking, you're looking at, well, Deshaun Watson was heavily struggling behind the Browns, and you still don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be genuinely decent or not for the rest of the season. Baker Mayfield's loving life over in Tampa. Something that could only happen to the Browns. Could it end up happening to the Panthers, where, you know, they end up getting rid of Bryce Young, a former number 1 overall pick, bring someone else in, they end up struggling. I don't think Andy Dalton's going to be in a worse position than Bryce Young, because Bryce Young's had so many hits now, he's not had a chance to get used to the proper, and really hasn't had a chance to get used to the NFL. Andy Dalton might be a bit better, but they're still going to struggle. Where, I don't know, I think you put Bryce Young in another team where they can truly put something around him that's helpful and help him to grow, and he can flourish. You'll end up seeing something stupid like Bryce Young thriving somewhere else while the Panthers continue to struggle. Something can only happen to the Panthers right now. But I think my whole point here is, like, they've traded a lot to get him, a lot of assets, a lot of the future, a good chunk of the future of the franchise to get him. you're not just giving up. I think the best thing you need to, and we did speak about this on Monday, so I don't want to continue to kind of like beat the bush on it.
I mean, my shock is
Just
just
let
only
him
week
sit down
2.
and calm down a little bit. Let him watch a vet like Andy Dalton operate that offense a little bit more, because like I say, Andy Dalton is going to be he's a vet, he has that bit more experience and whatnot. Let him watch and learn for a little bit. Otherwise it's going to hurt and you aren't going to get anything out of him, and he will be holding clipboards in 2 years.
That kind of wraps up the news I think I had on paper to kind of like go through.
Sound. Yeah, like I said, I know like, we covered some of that stuff on Monday, but it is relevant going into this week because some of it has knock-on effects into this week. Such like the Panthers, obviously, it goes into this week because they've got a game this weekend, and now they've got a new quarterback starting. So, I think the best place to start here is on just a couple of some of the key games that are going to take place over the weekend, and some of the more exciting ones. Obviously, tonight we have an AFC East matchup. By the time you listen to this at home, it won't be an AFC East matchup. It'll be sorry, that's not where I'm going with it. It'll be already done. Sorry, it will still be an AFC matchup, AFC East matchup. It'll already be done though. So you two, do you want to give us a bit of an idea on the Patriots Jets? Given that, I do believe that you have reason to closely follow this game this evening.
It's the only game that we have got, which is actually a late night game. If you look on our schedule, it's all our late night games. We have got no Sunday night football, no Monday night football. We've got that dreaded Thursday night football slot, which no one wants, and Amazon pays $80 billion a week for. This game, however, does have a bit of intrigue to it. On one hand, you have got the New York Jets, who are not exactly firing on all cylinders currently, but they're still going about their way. Last week against Tennessee, they won, but they won in spite of their offense. They more, in fact, won because Tennessee kept treading in their own bear traps. And then Will Levis decides to do the most egregious thing going full Tropic Thunder and trying to throw the ball backwards. What the hell was you doing? I've got absolutely no idea on that. So yeah, the Jets kind of got a free win on Tennessee on that matter. One thing that, on the other hand, you've got a Patriots team which everyone completely writ off, saying, yep, they're going to have the number 1 overall pick. This team is trash. They're not going to be very good. Teething pains, no Bill Belichick, this, that, and the other. And in the first 2 games, what has come to my mind is, if you play the Patriots, doesn't matter if you are a bang average team or you're actually one of the quality teams like Detroit, San Francisco, KC, Cincinnati, that sort of thing, you are going to be playing a hard-fought game, and it will come down to literally the last play of the game, whether it's a win or lose. New England are going to play tough, and they're going to play tough. They're going to play competitive, and the Jets do struggle stopping the run. They're ranked 24th in the NFL when they are stopping the run. New England are tied 4th in the NFL when running with the ball, but they're ranked number 1 in rushing yards after contact. They're just very good at Alex Van Pelt. What he does with this running game is very, very good. But with regarding to our passing offense, it's still little to be desired as far as probably what me and DJ could see. What we saw from Seattle was a little bit better. Most of it was all to Hunter Henry, let's be real, and a touchdown to Polk at the back of the end zone in the first quarter, which was good to see. But apart from that, I think 3 or 4 more receivers had 2 catches or less. It was that bad. It was generally that bad. And when people watch the Patriots, they're going to say, right, we're just going to stack the box because we know Jacoby Brissett is just going to throw for 10 yards. He ain't going to throw deep down the field. Either A, he hasn't got the arm strength, or B, he plays scared. Which I said this on the Pats pod back on Tuesday. I said I think Brissett plays scared some of the times. And if you're going to win these tight-knit games, you're going to have to make 1 or 2 big plays in order to keep your defense, in order to not keep the defense quiet, but keep them sound. Like, okay, you're not just going to play one-dimensional all the time. You are going to throw the ball deep. Okay, we are going to have to adjust now. And it just... The Jets, on the other hand, look, Rodgers did all right in week 2. I wouldn't say he was fantastic. I wouldn't say he was awful. He was all right. He had 2 good third down throws, which are very Aaron Rodgers-esque. Let's be real. If there's one thing I'm a little bit worried about, is Breece Hall. Not in his rushing ability, because I think New England will stop the rushing game of Breece Hall. I think it's going to be when he gets the balls, when he catches out of the backfield. That's going to be my issue, because the screen game of the Jets is actually very good. So that's going to be my biggest issue with that. And with regard to the Jets secondary, you want to, we're going to see what happens. I mean, Sauce Gardner, I don't know who he's going to mark. Probably Polk, if I'm honest, but I don't know who he's got. We don't have a real number 1, let's be real. So it's probably going to be Polk or Demario Douglas, one of 2. So that's going to be hard. Their secondary is very, very hard to beat. And with the Pats, on the other hand, you've got probably Gonzalez is going to be sticking to Garrett Wilson like bird crap on a car bonnet for pretty much all the game. It's then going to see if Jonathan and Marcus Jones can shut down Adam Lazard. But the one X factor I will throw in there is Mike Williams. He only had one reception in the game against Tennessee. That doesn't mean he's gonna not. He might be the X factor in this game, which we've got to be very, very careful of, because he can tower over Marcus and Marcus and Jonathan Jones. So I just hope Gerard Mayo and DeMarcus Covington has something for that. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I've looked at the line. We're 7-point underdogs. I mean, the last time we were that far down, we actually flipped the script. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'm probably going to say it's going to be low scoring. I don't think it's going to be a high-ended game because, make sure you've got your coffee, your blankets, and your pillows for this one, because it's going to be trench warfare in this game for me personally. But yeah, so I'll hand over to DJ to have his say.
All right. Make sure you had your coffee, your pillow, your blankets.
You're going to need about 3 coffees for this game.
Last night.
4 coffees in each quarter. You're going to need them. Trust me.
What are you thinking, DJ?
Yeah, I'm not going to say very much. I think Carl's covered most of it, to be honest. I think it's more a defensive battle, I think, from both sides. I think the Jets' D's got a really young and they're pretty decent. Ours is very similar, but I think it's going to be, can our offense do anything in this game? Because, like you say, we've struggled with weapons and with passes and that. It's going to be more of a running game from us, and then it's Rodgers he's the experienced one out of all this. I think he's going to be the game changer. He should be able to read the defense and slice them where he feels that he needs to. So if we can keep him quiet, then we might have a good chance of winning this game. But
you need to get him off his spot.
Yeah,
you've got to get him off his spot.
I still don't think he's the Rodgers he was 2-3 years ago.
No, I don't think so. But the only way you'll find out is by testing that. Testing his Achilles. Let's see if he can actually get out of the pocket and actually scramble somewhere.
Just on a personal note, I say I don't have skin in this game. I kind of do. Any game where Aaron Rodgers could lose, I feel like I have an involvement and a desperate need to see that game. Just because, again, second to the person I mentioned before as the most hated in the sport, Aaron Rodgers is second. Just looking at the injury report, you've got Juwan Bentley, Vidarian Lowe, Sidney So, and O'Shane
Jimenez.
Okay. Thank you for that one. Jermaine Johnson is out for the Jets. As far as questionables go for yourselves, you've got David Andrews, Mike Onwenu, Jabril Peppers, and Dietrich Wise.
Yeah.
There are a couple others that aren't too.
City So, I think, as well.
Yeah, City So hasn't played all season yet, so that's nothing. That's nothing new.
This is another thing. They're getting dented in the O line again, where you got casualties.
Yeah.
So we're having to use our rookie
Wallace,
left tackle out of Penn State, Caden Wallace, for this game, and I think you've got no choice now. You've got no choice. You have to now go with the rookie, and it's up to him if he sinks or swims.
Yeah. Okay. CJ Mosley is questionable. Did not practice all week. It's I don't know what he would look like today on a practice report or tomorrow on a practice report, because that would be the usual day you get them for a Sunday game. So but that's never a good sign if you haven't practiced all week.
Mm-hmm.
It does, yeah, but knowing it's a short turnaround on a short week. Also, as well, one thing I've got to mention as well, this will be the Jets' third game in 11 days. They played last week, they played Monday Night Football. Then they play Tennessee on Sunday. Now they've got a quick turnaround on Thursday Night Football. This will be their third game in 11 days. I wonder if fatigue might set in because they're having to play 3 games in less than 2 weeks. That might be quite a bit of that's a question mark there.
Yeah. Moving on to our Sunday games. We have quite the little schedule this week. It looks. I think it's going to be a lot more exciting than it looks, and it looks quite decent this week, if I'm perfectly honest. So obviously tonight we've got the Patriots at the Jets. Just waiting for this to load. Then we've got the Giants at the Browns on Sunday, Bears at Colts, Texans at Vikings. Then the Eagles at the Saints, which is on Sky Sports, blacked out on Game Pass if you are an Eagles or a Saints fan, or a fan of neither team and you just want to watch that game, blacked out on Game Pass. Chargers at Steelers, Broncos at Buccaneers, Packers at Titans, Panthers at Raiders, Dolphins at Seahawks, Lions at Cardinals, Ravens at Cowboys, which again, Sky Sports, blacked out. 49ers at Rams, Chiefs at Falcons, which should be fun for Chapman and Tom to get into on Monday. I'll look forward to being there for that one. Then we've got the Jags and we've got a double header this week on Monday Night Football. Jags at Bills and Commanders at Bengals.
Does anyone know why that is?
They've done it a couple of times. I remember last year. For a couple of weeks, they do a Monday night double header. I'm not sure on the actual reason.
One on ESPN, one on ABC, I believe.
I can't remember. I think the one thing, actually, I haven't mentioned this before. If you don't have DAZN and you don't have Sky Sports, if you want an opportunity to watch a free football game every week, granted it's a night game, so probably not in your best interest. Monday Night Football airs on Channel 5. They only have one of these games on. They don't have both of these games available on Channel 5. But one of these games will be available on Channel 5. In a minute, I'm going to throw a question to you. And while you're answering it, I'll double check which one it is that's on Channel 5. But 2 games that interest me, that I want to start off with that interest me, are the 2 unbeaten matchups. So we've got the Texans at the Vikings, both teams 2-0. Chargers at the Steelers, which... Chargers are kind of get Jim Harbaugh. I'm a Michigan... Well, I'm not a Michigan boy, literally, but I'm a Michigan boy. I'm very much enjoying that. Steelers being 2-0 is blowing my mind. Do you want to start us off with those 2 games? Which one of those 2 poses the most interesting matchup? Not necessarily the best, but the most interesting.
I'm going to go Houston Vikings. Only because I think Sam Darnold is probably going to come up with his first proper competition. because that Houston D is not nothing to be laughing about. So I would go for that matchup. I don't know what Justin Jefferson's status is at. I don't know if he's practicing or not, but again, it depends on if he's fit enough to make the game or not. I just think Houston away as well is going to be a tough environment to go into Minnesota and take a win there, but I still do think they have the enough firepower to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with I will take the Steelers and the Chargers. And on the precipice of this, we knew what the Chargers were going to do when Jim Harbaugh came into the organization. They're going to be a very dependent, very heavy run team. But they've still got Justin Herbert, quarterback, who can still sling the rock. We know he can.
Yeah.
We don't know about his injury status as of yet. I will be a little bit concerned because, let's be real, although the Steelers team are 2-0, this might be a hot take here, they're a fraudulent 2-0. 90% of that team is ran on TJ Watt and 10% of it is running on Chris Boswell with his freaking leg. Come on, let's be real. Justin Fields managed to finally get the ball into the end zone for the first time for the Steelers last week. Cool. But it was against a Denver team which are still a work in progress.
Yeah.
This is the first competent matchup, I think, for Pittsburgh. They're going to have a real test on their hands.
Saying that, though, Herbert's popped up on the not practicing this week as well, so I don't know if that's for precautionary measures, and then obviously it'll play, but something to probably keep an eye out.
It'll help having Herbert, but let's face it, if there's one thing we know about Jim Harbaugh, that man is going to pound the rock from the majority of that 60 minutes. You need a QB who can dink and dunk a couple of throws here and there. You don't it's all predicated on that strong run game first. We know this. We've known so any team, if you have Justin Herbert as your QB1 and then you've not got Justin Herbert, obviously that's a disadvantage to you. Always. Not debating that, but a team like the Chargers, not the worst thing. It's not like if the Lions, if Goff went down, or at the moment the Vikings if Sam Darnold went down, etc. That's like the game plan doesn't crumble.
Yeah. I mean, Wilson is still out, so for that game, I mean, I still don't think they're convinced on Fields. I don't know.
No, they're not. I'm not. I just think they are dancing through the raindrops in a minute, Pittsburgh, but there will come a time when they will come up against a better opponent on offense, and they are going to have to try and move the ball down the field. And I just have doubts with Fields. Fair enough, he can run with his legs, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good because Pittsburgh haven't had that sort of a quarterback in God knows how many years. But at the end of the day, this team has been relied on by its defense.
No, yeah,
it will always be relied on by its defense. It will always be relied on TJ Watt. Okay, and I just feel like, as I said, I think low scoring game. But this is the sort of game that Jim Harbaugh craves. This is his type of matchup, and he's spoken about it in his press conferences on how did he say something about the Steelers were like a playoff team apparently, as he said. I think he might have gone a bit too far with that one, if I'm brutally honest. But yeah, that's my intriguing one because it's not going to be like a real high scoring basketball match. I don't think it is. It's going to be trench warfare in this game. And I love trench warfare games.
Yeah.
So, one thing that's fun to look at here is the Steelers are, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 26. The 26th lowest scoring offense.
Mm-hmm.
The 26th in points scored as an offense. And as far as points conceded go, though, they're the second in the league at the least points conceded. only second to the Chargers.
They played a Falcons team that hadn't got going yet, and they played a Denver team, as I already said, that's a work in progress. Let's see how they go on against the Chargers.
But yeah, I do find that pretty. It does interest me there to see that the two franchises with the lowest points against, Chargers with 13, Steelers with 16. It's a will prove to be. It'll be again probably a case of which defense steps up.
Steps up the most, yeah.
It'll again. We've seen play games like this as well. It's got who makes that one play. Who's got the one play that bypasses the defense? And if you're going to predicate on a strong run up the middle, you kind of bypass TJ Watt a lot, and you're going to take that game away from TJ Watt, and not in the direction that TJ Watt's coming at you. So hopefully that works for the Chargers. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And but as far as Texans Vikings go, Texans were a low-scoring team at the weekend, and the Vikings have a damn good defense. And I just don't think teams are prepared. No team truly understood what veteran quarterback in Sam Darnold was going to have in let's say it, arguably what's the best talent in the league in Justin Jefferson. And are you going to get a point of, we've got more tape on him now, that Texans defense might, but they got to beat up on a weak Bears off. Well, I say week off it, but a weak O-line. They got at Caleb Williams quick. I said on Monday, I think that O-line has taken Caleb Williams, asking them to pick up after themselves. Personally, I think they sat there and said, "Well, let's give this young man, let's welcome this young man to the NFL," and they're doing that. Barely blocking.
You could do it at Arizona's. You could do that. You could do all that trickery and all that running around against Arizona State, but that ain't going to work in the NFL.
No, and I said
did you see after the game as well, where CJ went up to Williams and just tried to give him some advice, and he was just not having it. The disrespect.
I don't think that's the case, and I will go on record here and I'll say it. And I will back. If you've just spent 60 minutes getting your ass pounded into grass, and you're an elite, I get the whole. Right now, I want to go in, and I said this yesterday on the college podcast that never ended up coming out. I have never been an elite level competitor. I'm competitive, but I've never been an elite level competitor. And I remember every time I played football and lost, even if it's like heads and volleys with my mates, if I've lost, I just wanted to go home and be angry and upset because I hate losing. And if you've just spent the last 32 minutes of the last 3 hours of your life being beaten up, I just want to go back to the locker room. I want to go congratulate the QB on the win, and I want to go back to the locker room. That's my personal take on it, and I feel bad on Caleb Williams. Who, if that's the case, I get it. Sorry, I feel like I took swings at you there, DJ. I didn't mean to kind of respond to you like that.
I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, Fletch. But on the flip side of that,
CJ was just given some advice, and that was it. And to me, I get what you're saying, Fletch. Like, you just had a fucking 60-minute pounding, and you don't want to listen to anyone. You just want to get off that field. Especially, it wasn't a hope ground either. So, but I thought, you're a rookie. I don't know.
I'm going to come to Fletcher's defence here, because I think what he is trying to do is give him some sound advice, and that may be the case where he just wanted to say thank good, congratulations, then go back to the locker room. That might be the case. Unfortunately, there are cameras around.
Yeah.
And what happens the following morning? TV shows want cheap talking points, and what's the cheapest talking point? Oh yeah, Kai Killer was being disrespectful to CJ Stroud. Headline. Yeah, that's the thing. It's part and parcel of the NFL, unfortunately. You've got to conduct yourself so precise and so well now. Otherwise, if someone sees something, even the slightest bit they find egregious, they're going to literally run with it.
I get that, and that's gonna come in. That's gonna come with he gets into the locker. He wakes up on Tuesday morning and kind of goes, "Oh, for crying out loud, man!" And he wakes up and sees Twitter and everyone's going mad about it. I think you wake up or someone collars you and goes, "Look." And again, what is it from Caleb Williams' perspective, as someone who's not an elite level competitor, I get it. If that is the case, if he was just being rude, he was being rude. I can't speak for Caleb Williams. So no one else can. We can all make our own opinions and thoughts. If that was the case, fair enough. I get it. And it's going to be one of them where you've got to learn the time and the place to do that effectively. And so I get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
but as we kind of look forward as well through some of the other games. Now we've spoken about the 2 unbeaten matchups. But a couple of games here that are also I don't know about you guys, but taking my fancy. One that's taking my fancy, or one that could prove to be very interesting, is you've got the San Francisco 49ers at the LA Rams. Now the LA Rams scraped by and lost against the Lions, then got their backsides handed to them against the Cardinals. And I will say on record throughout multiple podcasts saying what a Kyler Murray fan I am, called it. But the Rams are depleted. And the San Francisco 49ers, though, didn't look good at the weekend, might be out for a point to prove. And against a divisional opponent, they might want blood. Could this be a very ugly situation for the Rams?
Welcome to what I would call an injury bowl. This is an injury bowl game. I've never seen a team get decimated within the space of 2 weeks like that ever. The Rams are literally complete. They've lost most of their offensive line. They've lost Puka Nacua. They've lost Cooper Kupp to IR.
Stafford, I believe, has got.
Stafford is. Well, I'm not surprised about
struggling.
Stafford. Stafford is struggling, and I think this was a joke. If I don't get me wrong, but someone had posted in an injury report. Rampage, the Rams mascot, out 8 to 10 weeks with an injury. I was like, that someone's clickbaiting, surely. Come on. Anyway, but the 49ers, we spoke about this in the green room before we got on live, Fletch. And basically, no Deebo Samuel, no CMC. We're going to officially see how good Brock Purdy really is. Is he actually this quarterback that is very good when the going gets tough, or is he assistant quarterback and he needs everything around him to be perfect? That's what we're going to find out in this game. But I fear this has the makings of a massacre, and not from the Rams side of things either. No, sorry, Sam, but it just looks bleak if you're an LA Rams fan.
Yeah.
With the amount of injuries that you got. Because if it was just the 49ers you had to contend with, and the Seahawks maybe sitting in the background, that would all be fine. But the Arizona Cardinals have come out smoking hot. And it's now made the NFC West a bit... has now made the water of the NFC West a bit murky now that the Cardinals have stepped in. So it's going to become an issue on how the Rams deal with the injuries. We're going to find out. I mean, it will be a good game to watch, but we don't know if it's going to be a low-scoring game or it's going to end in an absolute massacre for one of the teams. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
I'm trying to find. I had a page up. I'm sure this notes thing that I've received this week had this bit of information. I'm trying to find the last time the Rams went 0-3 to start a season. If either of you know it, great. I don't know if you do, but I don't know the last time was
St. Louis. It's got to be.
I've tried googling it, and it just comes up with they went such and such last season, and they just give me the end of season records every time.
I think started 0-6 in the 2011.
Yeah,
season.
when they were St. Louis.
Okay, so
St. Louis, yeah.
We can look at, say, 2011. So they haven't started 0-3 under McVay.
Nope.
They haven't started 0-3 since they were in LA. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure Matt Stafford started 0-3 a couple of times before he was at his previous team. I'm pretty sure that's happened to him on a couple of occasions, and I'm almost certain it has. Murky waters for them at the moment. Murky waters, unfamiliar territory. Are they missing Aaron Donald too much? Or is it just simply the injury bug?
I think it is the injury bug, honestly. I don't think they're losing. Are they losing a little bit of the sack rate that Aaron Donald brings? Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. We knew when they got Jared Verse in the draft, big shoes to fill. You're not going to get that sort of production out of him in the first season, I don't believe. So, no, I think this is an injury bug. There's always a team in the NFL that gets hit very, very hard with an injury bug, and unfortunately this year it's the Rams.
It's just week
Last year
after
it was
week.
the Browns.
They can't catch a breath.
Yeah, last year it was Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, like you said, that's just what happens. Now, couple more games that I have marked on my radar for other reasons is the Ravens Cowboys. I'd also like to know when I think it was 2015 was the last time the Ravens started 0-3. Are they in trouble now? And what is it going to be a case of? Is it a case of the Ravens will become the Ravens again? Is it a case of we need to see whether it's the Cowboys against the Browns or the Cowboys against the Saints that turns up?
This is a game which is going to be very, very interesting. Let's be real. Go back to last week. The Las Vegas Raiders, they had absolutely no business whatsoever beating the Ravens. The Ravens had that game pretty much sewn up, and then they just let Magic Mustache go down the field and gave them 2 touchdowns. I mean, how the hell do you do that? And then they have one last drive on Carlson to kick the game-winning field goal. Also, as well, for the second week running, Justin Tucker's missed the field goal.
Yeah,
he is not automatic anymore.
No.
But this Ravens offense, it scores points, but the defense is letting it down. For the second week running, the defense is letting the Ravens down. And
which on paper they shouldn't be.
And on paper it shouldn't be. So going into week 3 against Dallas, the Cowboys, they're going to be absolutely, going to have some really big wounds from what the Saints done to them last week. But unfortunately, your next opponent coming into Jerry World is a very pissed off Baltimore Ravens team, who the worst thing you want to do against the Baltimore team is when they're on their back foot, because they will come after you. This has all the makers of a high scoring game, but I just feel like there was something that I heard as well, and that's the fact that the Cowboys losing to the Saints. They lose to these games in the playoffs. They lose to the 49ers. They lose to the Packers. They lose to Buccaneers. They lose to Minnesota. They lose to certain teams that play the West Coast offense. It seems every time Dallas plays one of those teams, they can't figure them out. I don't think the Ravens don't play West Coast offense. This will make this game interesting. But unfortunately, last year I go back to what happened when Cowboys played playoff teams. They were 3-5 last season. As soon as they play a team of a 500 or they're a playoff team, they fold. They fold. So we're going to find out what happens now, because, I didn't predict the Cowboys to win the division. I predicted the Eagles to win the division. I would say more for me, but I'm not going that far yet. But this has got the makings of a game where if the Cowboys lose, America wins. If the Ravens lose, they're in trouble. Because I don't think many teams who have started 0-3 to start the season, I don't know what the percentage is. I think it's something like 10, 11% make the playoffs. I could be wrong.
We'll sort that next week.
Yeah, we'll get onto that one. DJ, I want to run. Well, actually, I'm going to ask you this question based off something Carl's just said. Right. If they start 0-3, potentially things could get worse. Now, a wise man once said that the Ravens may have added the king, but they lost the queen in Patrick Queen. A wise man once said that, I believe, on the Hurdle the Line podcast. Just how much, like, would you generally agree with Carl that this could be a high-scoring game, or do you think it might be a game again where defenses buckle up?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's more that they're both surprising to be 0-2, both of them. I thought maybe they're thinking they're going to be 1-1. Fair enough. But like you just said there, I think they do miss that queen aspect in the middle of the field, that middle linebacker. That's probably the key part of that defense where they're just missing something. But yeah, like you say, both defenses need to buckle up and play proper football on D.
Are you guys familiar with chess?
Yeah.
I'm sure you will know this, Carl. If you lose the queen when you play chess, so you know shit's gone down.
Oh yeah,
you're not in a good place.
That's one part of chess I do know. Yeah.
King ain't surviving.
2 pieces of interesting information though. The Ravens and Cowboys have only ever played 6 times. The Ravens are 5-1 over that series. The home team, whoever the home team is, has won the last 3. So the Ravens have a pretty good record against the Cowboys. And I said last week, the Cowboys don't lose at home. I want to think, and I was wrong. I made sure on Monday I went out there and told the world how wrong I was, mainly about the Saints, but how wrong I was.
Yeah,
I will put it out there now.
That burns up Rusty car. I said in the pre-season, looks like it's had a brand new coat of paint and a fresh new fucking engine. Jesus Christ! Look at the way he slings the rock.
That ride has been pimped. That ride,
pimp
that
my
car
ride,
has
pimp
been
my
pimped.
ride. That's what Derek Carr's been doing.
But I'll go out there and say this: the Cowboys don't lose at home, and they definitely don't lose at home twice, because I won't do that. I'll get sued for libel by Jerry himself. But the Cowboys don't lose at home twice.
I can see it happening. I really do.
My other thing is, though, if the Cowboys win and the Ravens go 0-3, we know how badly momentum can hit you. And who have the Ravens got next in week 4?
I'm
getting it up now. They've got the Bills next week.
Oh, Jesus Christ. There's a chance they could go 0-4 then. If they lose to Dallas, there's a chance they could go 0-4.
0-4. And look, they haven't looked great to start the season. And then after that, if they start to figure it out and Burrow starts to go, they've got the Bengals. You just look, okay, then they've got the Commanders. There we go. We finally get a win. Well done. Then they've got the Bucs. Then they've got the if you're a team that's losing momentum, it's a schedule that can start to get ugly, because some of them are games you start the season, you could lose them, you'll probably win them. They turn into you could win them, you'll probably lose them. We are going to be denied. Because I can see if that happens, you go someone's head rolls. It's probably John Harbaugh.
If they lose to Dallas this weekend, John Harbaugh's seat is going to get very, very warm.
And then if they lose to the Bills the week after, if they lose to the Bengals,
then it gets hot.
If John Harbaugh is no longer in that job come the 26th of November and we get denied the Harbaugh Bowl 2.
Oh
yeah. That's criminal. That's criminal. We all deserve it. I deserve it. I on a personal level need it.
What week's that?
It's 26th of November, so would that be Thanksgiving weekend?
Yes, it will be.
Week 13.
Oh, that'd be
12.
Because normally the last weekend in
Yeah, it's week
Thanksgiving's
12.
the last Thursday.
Monday night football.
Monday night. Okay, so Monday night football. It'll be Thanksgiving a couple of days later. Yeah. So it's a lot of foot. That's a long time. I mean, head will roll if they don't get it quick. It's just the sad reality of football.
I mean, he's had his backside saved once already, but that was only because Lamar Jackson was in the building. He ain't got any excuses this time round.
They've got everything for them, though. They've got King Henry, Lamar Jackson, Flowers. I mean, Mark Andrews. It's like you've got everything for them now in a win mode. You can't be doing. It's going to turn ugly.
I mean, look, if you're, do you know who the leader, the yard scrimmage yards leader is? Like whoever's got the most scrimmage yards across the whole team.
You mean rushing?
Ravens. All purpose, so rushing and receiving. The most put
Lamar,
together.
wasn't it?
It's Lamar.
Yeah.
Lamar has 167 yards, all of which are rushing. The next best is Derrick Henry, who's got 130 on the ground and 12 in the air. Then the next after that is Zay Flowers, who's they've both got. Zay Flowers has got 14 on the ground, 128 in the air. Both of them that's 25 yards behind Lamar Jackson, who's got 167 on the ground.
Crazy.
If you bring in if you brought in Derrick Henry, you've got Zay Flowers, you've got Isaiah Likely, you've got Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson should not be leading all these all-purpose yards. He should not. I just don't think
they brought in King Henry for to
the problem is with Derrick Henry, you need to give him 25, 30 touches a game to actually get the production you need out of him. You know, it's a bit like he is a bit like an old motor. He needs a bit of time to get going, and once he gets going, that's it. You ain't stopping him.
Yeah.
That's what Tennessee did. Tennessee relied on Derrick Henry so much.
But my other thing I want to throw out this guy, I really do think actually the more we talk about it, the more interesting this game genuinely gets. CD Lamb, 176 yards from scrimmage, 151 in the air, 25 on the ground. The next best for the Cowboys is 94 yards in Jalen Tolbert, who's got 94 all in the air. CD Lamb got bailed out by terrible, that awful tackling on the long touchdown that he scored at the weekend. If it wasn't for that, they'd be barely straight. That'd be a lot. Their number one target would have a lot less yards.
The Cowboys are a team that doesn't like playing from behind. I've always said this. When they rely on their running game and they get ahead, then they can use the running game. Then they can use play action, and it'll make Dak Prescott's life a lot easier. This is wash, rinse, repeat every year what Cowboys do. As soon as they go behind or they go 2 touchdowns behind, they have to put the ball in Dak Prescott's hands. And usually not very good things happen.
Do you know what's the funniest part about that?
Yeah, the Cowboys
just paid him $60 million a year. And that's his job. Moving on. There are a couple more games that we might get a little bit of a focus on before we wrap it up, and start to what games are taking your fancy other than these ones? Are there any other games that hit you?
I'm gonna go with your Lions, Fletch, against the Cards. I think the Cardinals played exceptional well on the weekend. Like Murray, Harrison, they all looked like a decent team. And then I've got, on the flip side of that, I've got Lions that are going to come in pissed and they're going to want blood. So I think that's going to be a really good matchup.
We don't do well against mobile quarterbacks. I'm just saying that.
Neither do.
Don't.
Just got to contain him. Make him throw. Don't let him scramble out.
We are better equipped than before to handle mobile quarterbacks, but we do not handle mobile quarterbacks and guys who can keep plays alive well. One part of me doesn't like being the team that everyone's like, your game is one of the games of the week. Every week. Like, part it's great, but also that's a lot of pressure every week for me to turn up here and be like, yeah, let's go. This can either turn into a slugfest, or it's going to be a case of the Lions taking the clock as much as they can with the run game. Setting up that play action, like you mentioned with the Cowboys, set up that play action, get the run game going, and try and keep Kyler Murray off the field for as long as possible so he has the least amount of time to do damage.
Yeah.
And then pray.
And then
when it comes down to Marvin Harrison Jr.
Exactly, yeah. Do you think that the Lions need to double up on this guy, you think, coming into this game? Or the thing is, when you double him up, you're going to bounce, someone's going to be open. Zone. Yeah.
I think they'll hit him on a couple of zones. I think maybe they'll have someone on him for the most part, but I don't particularly see him doubling unless it gets out of hand. I think we've got personnel better to deal with it. It's more a case of if a play breaks down and Kyler Murray scrambles, whatever happens then happens. And again, it's one of them. I don't pray, but I will be praying every time that happens.
Hutchinson needs a couple of sacks.
DPOY, that's all I'm saying. Which I voted for when we did the pre-season, post-season awards, by the way. Any other games that are taking your fancy there, Carl?
Eagles Saints. Now, after the Eagles caught avian flu against Atlanta on Monday night, they're going up against a team which has caught every single one of us, excluding DJ, by surprise, and this Saints team has been an absolute a powerhouse. I think it was on their first 7 drives, Saints scored a touchdown on the Cowboys on 7 straight drives. That is unbelievably good from them. Alvin Kamara looks like has rolled back 5-6 years ago for where he used to be. Chris Olave's taken that big step that we kind of knew he had to in his second year. But Rasheen Shaheed, oh my word, this guy has had so many. I think he's averaging 40 yards a pass, 40 yards a reception. That's ridiculous on him. One of the best deep threats in the NFL right now. The offensive line
receptions, 96.
The offensive line is standing up, doing what they can. Derek Carr looks like he's rolled back himself 10 years. Looks really, really good now. This Eagles team worries me because defensively they're all over the place. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. Nick Sirianni is taking play calling away from who is the OC of Philadelphia? Is it Kellen Moore?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's Kellen Moore. On some of the plays, which I find absolutely ridiculous to say the least. And in the last 10 games, all going back through last season as well, they're 2-8. They're 2-8. That's not good.
No.
That is just so not good. So I need to see if the Eagles are going to buck their ideas up and actually get going, or the Saints are going to drop another 40 burger on another team. Because if the Saints do that, oh boy, there's a big discussion heading our way regarding the Saints and mostly the Eagles as well. Because let's not forget as well, we know the Giants stink. The Cowboys are just inconsistent. Philadelphia, as I said, have lost 8 of their last 10 games in both this season and last season combined. Washington are a team that's sneaking up and no one's talking about Washington. They're not that good. but they are the Luigi wins by doing nothing. But they're sneaking up on the division. So, yeah, this game's intriguing to me because the Eagles need a get-right game, and if the Saints drop another 40 burger, let's be real. If there's one place you don't really want to go in the playoffs, you don't want to go to the Caesar Superdome. You don't want to go there. That atmosphere is on a different level when it comes playoff time. It is deafening in there. It is impossible to play calls. It really
comes down to what they're doing coaching as well. You know, they were in cap hell. I think they still are. I think
94 million over the cap currently.
Yeah, so they've not had a lot to like kind of work with there, but you know they're not missing the likes of Mike Thomas and all those veterans that they used to have on the team. So I think you got to give, like I say, you got to give props to what they're doing in that organization behind the scenes in terms of coaching. Like you say, Kamara looks to be like the Kamara he was when he got drafted out of Tennessee, and then you know Carr looks like he's 4 or 5 years younger, healthy, more confident behind that O line as well, throwing the ball where he wants to. So yeah, I've said from week one, like I say, that there will be a team to look out for. Yeah. That's a massive bold prediction.
I think Chapman would rather kill himself than watch the Saints win the Super Bowl again.
Wow. Yeah.
He is the new modern day version of Carson Wentz. The only thing he hasn't done yet is throw a ball out the back of the end zone with his left hand yet. That's the only thing he hasn't done. I'm gonna this might be a hot take. I'm just gonna say this. This might be a hot take. If Titans have got Andy Dalton under center, they're 2-0. You don't make those mistakes. I'm sorry, but you don't make those mistakes.
Yeah.
They've had chances to win that game, and they keep blowing it due to their own incompetence. Sorry, but a half decent QB won't make those mistakes, and they will guide their team to wins.
Yeah. And potentially, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the return of Malik Willis because he's obviously got traded from Titans to Green Bay, but there is sources out there that Jordan Love could potentially play this game. They obviously diagnosed him to be a couple of weeks out. They didn't put him on the IR. He's now working towards a comeback. So I think it all depends on who's up in centre for Green Bay on the day on match night. But yeah, it's another interesting matchup here because, like you say, it could go either way. If it is Willis, it's like you say, you want to keep him off the ball. It'll be Jacobs, and then either a field goal or Willis just lobbing the ball wherever he can. But yeah, it's at Nashville as well. Again, it's hard to go into Nashville and take away wins there, but like I say, Fletch, this Tennessee team is sneakily decent. They're just missing a couple bits and bobs to make them a real force, I think. After losing like Derrick Henry and co, but yeah, that's the way I see it. Yeah. Stupid backwards, yeah, stupid decisions. Yeah. Just another week of NFL. Fantasy side. Mm-hmm. I do. So, going on to DJ's stat of the week. So, obviously, week in, week out, we've obviously touched on the percentages when teams have started or lost their opening games. So, we'll move on to like week 2 losses. So, over the past 34 seasons, so anything between 1990 to 2023, 32 teams have qualified for the postseason after starting 0-2. Now, including, so in the last 10 years, so that's the 2014 to 2023, 9 of these teams have made it into the postseason. So the closer, I mean, as in like the last 10 years wise, it's more likely to see a team that are going 0-2 sneaking into the playoffs, which is mental. think it's all down to like you say, it's slow starting, it's getting into the rhythm of things, it's getting used to being back into the season. I mean, I know from a personal point, like Patriots, we used to struggle our weeks 1 and 2, and then obviously starting to kick the season on them was. But yeah, I think it's just slow starting and getting into the rhythm of things, making sure what's working, what's not. I mean, pre-season is probably not enough to terminate what you're going to do in the season. Each game's different, and you need to see who's gelling, who's not. It's just a bit of a combination of everything.
I do have my betting tips. So this is all going to be point spread regarding of who the teams have got this week. I'm going to go for a few which are going to be a little bit off the curve than what a lot of people realise. So one of the first teams I'm going to put onto the list here is the Green Bay Packers at +2.5. I think that's a decent bet to put on, considering yes, Tennessee do play very hard on their defensive side of the ball, but I just have doubts on this offense. So I'm going to say Green Bay +2.5. Minnesota are on fire at the minute. I'm going to say, and they are the underdogs going into the game against Houston. And Minnesota are +2 underdog. So take Minnesota on that one. The Chargers, they're only +1.5 on the Steelers. I will probably take Pittsburgh -1.5 as a favorite in that one, but that could be very, very, very close. New Orleans, I would take their points on -2.5. They are favourites. It's only -2.5 against the Eagles. I find that quite surprising. And the last one I'm going to throw out there, now you might think I'm going to be absolutely balmy when I say this. Take Carolina +5 against Vegas. I know. I heard your. Well, don't do that to me. But listen carefully. They're starting Andy Dalton at quarterback. They can't be any worse. They legitimately can't be any worse. So I'll take the +5 on Carolina. And the final one I will go for is Dallas +1 against Baltimore. They are also underdog going into the game against Baltimore. So yeah, those are my tips for this week.
I think Fletch is. Yeah.
As DJ was
I think Fletch got some technical issues.
Fletch has got some technical issues. So as he said, he's going to release the Pick'ems show for tomorrow.
Yeah, he does it in a clip.
He does it in a clip. Yeah. So, but we still got our picks to go through for tonight. So hopefully Fletch gets back sooner rather than later. And we can't turn the recording off, so he has to get back sooner rather than later. Oh, hang on.
There we go.
Are you there, Fletch?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? There we go.
Yeah, it's fine. So literally, I just jumped on with you. Basically, I just basically recite what you just said regarding.
Sorry, I apologise.
Release the video for the Pick'ems.
I'm going to release a video for the Pick'ems tomorrow, and without further ado, we'll see you next week. keep an eye out for the review episode dropping on Tuesday morning. As always, if you're new to the Hurdle the Line, follow the AAW Network on Twitter, AAW_network, Instagram, AAW Network. Go to our website, links in the description, and we will see you next week.